For the first time in a while, it seems like at the moment there's nothing going on with these reform councillors. He says, I'm literally going to look after this, so there's going to be like, oh yeah, this, and this happened. Like, however, as you well know, I like to talk about other stuff on here that's going on, and as you all know, um, we inherited a very, very, very bad financial situation from the previous government. But we are still, I think, not being told the full extent of just how bad the financial situation really actually is. And this came out very recently on the believe it or not, the Irish Times reporting on this didn't actually get, from what I can at least see, any pickup in any of the UK press or news. Probably because it is very, very highly embarrassing. And I really do see this as something I think very, very embarrassing for our not only our current government, but the previous government as well, because this was decided under the previous government. However, there are also, as we'll see in a moment, for the Irish Peace and Reconciliation Project, there will be at least some news as to what the UK government intends to do going forward for the plan for 2026 to 2030. So we will see what comes of this. But ultimately, it's basically the fact that we missed the final payment. And the UK government turned around and said, yeah, we can't actually afford to make the final payment. So when you actually see Starmer and Reeves saying, yeah, we've got a really bad financial situation, I think it's a lot worse than they are really letting on. Because if we are here and we are going to this, I would say quite a significant, multi-government initiative saying we can't afford this, I think things are a lot worse than I think they might be letting on. So before we do go into this, like I say, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. Down below, there are links to my Patreon page, the one foundation link called Buy Me Coffee, the YouTube thank you button, and of course as well the Patreon page as well. So thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel that way. So on into this. So this coming from the Irish Times. The UK government pulls funding for the Irish Peace and Reconciliation Project. So the UK government has now pulled funding for an internationally recognised Irish Peace and Reconciliation project because of budget cuts imposed by Westminster. The UK had committed to paying £4 million to the International Fund for Ireland between 2021 and this year, in 4 instalments of over £1 million. The UK government spokeswoman said that the current British government, quote, inherited a very challenging fiscal position, which it meant that it could not afford the final £1 million instalment. The Irish government says that it does hope that the UK will, of course, consider funding the scheme again. Now, bear in mind, as I've said, this has not been picked up by a lot of other UK, should we say, media sources. So I would say if you are in a situation where you've got the UK government saying, yeah, we inherit a very challenging fiscal position and we can't afford the final 1 million installment to go to this, how bad is it actually really? I think things are a lot worse than I think Starmer and Reeves are actually saying. I really think they are. So who knows? Maybe we'll find out the next budget. So the IFI is, of course, an independent international organization set up by the British and Irish governments back in 1986 to promote economic, social, and peace developments in Northern Ireland, the border counties as well. It was designed, of course, to try and bring civic groups of both sides of the border together and the Northern Irish communities together. The IFS funds different peace barrier programs. The community project designed, of course, to build local support for the removal of peace walls and the barriers in Belfast and Derry, but it also funds the Peace Impact Program, which is designed to target communities suffering now from social deprivation, but have not traditionally been involved in peace and reconciliation programs. It has also recently funded the Fall Drogheda program, a youthful environmental project in Milford, County Donegal. Was a social entrepreneur project based now in the Republic that connects over 20 different communities on either side of the border. The biggest contribution to the fund has obviously come traditionally from the US, but it has also benefited from funding from the European Union, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and both the Irish and the UK governments. The IMF as oh the I so the I not the IMF the IFI sorry has been credited as the initiative which also helped lay the groundwork for the Belfast Agreement, and the former UK government negotiator Jonathan Powell described it as the great unsung hero of the peace process. The success of the IFF also now has inspired proposals to create a similar Middle East peace fund for Israel and Palestine. The UK government also confirmed to the Irish Times that it had also pulled its contribution to fund for the 2024-2025 budget because of budget cuts, saying that this government inherited a very challenging fiscal position and needed to take a very difficult but necessary decisions to place public finances now on a very sustainable footing. As a result, the government has now decided not to continue with the 1 million contribution to the International Fund for Ireland in 2024 to 2025. The government, of course, remained supportive of the IFS aims, promoting peace and reconciliation, the spokesperson said. The Department of Foreign Affairs said that the UK government had, of course, contributed over £4 million to delivering the current IFS strategy, which, of course, would finish at the end of 2025, saying that this was, of course, warmly welcomed by the IFF and £3 million was, of course, received. We are, of course, aware that the UK government indicated that, of course, they were not in a position to make the final 1 million project. And I think that's very interesting that they are saying, yeah, they put that they are not in a position to make the final 1 million projects of the funding. That's kind of bad. That's very, very bad in that. But of course, we look forward to trying to continue the work with the UK to support it. The IFF do also hope the UK will, of course, consider further funding in the future. With a new strategy now being proposed for 2026 to 2030 is launched just at the end of the year. The Irish government also contributed over 4 million euros to the IFFI back in 2025. So yeah, hmm, yeah. How bad are really things when you've got a fund basically saying, oh yeah, you're going to provide about 4 million in installments of like 1 million a year, and oh yeah, by the way, that last installment can't actually do it. How bad are things really when you sort of can't make that last payment? I think that things might be a lot worse than I think things are being said. I think things might be. Um, so yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens on this. But it's very interesting that this did not get as far as, at least as far as I can tell, there has been no UK media talking about this. So yeah. Hmm. How bad are things really in this? You know? So, as always, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think down below about this, uh, because as far as I can tell, this does not look good for a lot of reasons, especially, of course, internationally as well, quite frankly. So, yeah, not looking good. But as always, let me know what you think about all this. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.